Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, and listen as we have a calm conversation on a variety of topics, or perhaps we'll just stick to one topic on this particular episode. We hope you're able to sort of just chill, relax, be worry free, and who knows, even sleep. I'm your host, Marco Timpano, and joining me once again is a dear friend from Los Angeles, Leslie Seiler. Welcome to the Insomnia Project.
Oh, thank you, Marco. I'm so happy to be back here again.
So great. We had a wonderful holiday episode with Leslie, and our holiday episodes only are up for the month of December and a little bit of January, so you'll have to wait till next year to hear that episode again. But I was fortunate enough to have Leslie say, yeah, I'll come back on the podcast and we'll do another episode. So here she is.
Oh, absolutely. And very excited. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Leslie, I know you as a talented writer, director, and first and foremost, anyways, actor, comedian, improviser. That's what's dear to my heart when I think of Leslie Seiler. But you also have a great talent when it comes to flower arranging. Tell me about that.
It is it's my secret talent, I tell a lot of people, even though I do post about it a lot on social media, so it's not so secret, but still a lot of people don't know. I have this secret skill as a florist, as a floral designer. And it started because way back in high school, like my first after school job just ended up being at a flower shop. It was just a flower shop looking for a clerk. And so I applied and I ended up working at a place called Plant Care Plus.
Good old Plant Care Plus.
Plant Care Plus in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And the lady who ran it, or who was the manager, she sort of just took me under her wing. I guess she liked me. And so she just started teaching me because it was mostly plants, but had a small floral department as well. And she just started teaching me how to arrange flowers. And so she would even give me little assignments or say, okay, make something like this or try this. And so she would really let me play around and practice, because I think it is a skill that truly only through practice can there might be some innate talent in that you might have an eye for color or something like that. But really practicing, I think is the key to a good florist.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
so practice makes perfect when it comes to flower arranging. So, Leslie, can you give us some other secret tips one should know when they're approaching a flower arrangement?
Absolutely, I can. So this is almost going to sound absolutely contradictory to what I just said, but just follow your instincts.
Okay.
And I mean that truthfully. Like, if you do start playing around with flower arranging, then just truly start playing around with it, which maybe does connect to practice making perfect. But it means, if you're drawn to certain colors, play within those colors. If you love all whites, then grab all kinds of white flowers and put those together and just sort of start, I think, playing with it. Because again, I guess this does match that it's just practice makes perfect. So my biggest advice would be just to start, grab some, you can even at the grocery store, you can get pre-made bouquets, but you can also sometimes they'll have like different clumps of flowers. So you can get a whole batch of, tulips and a whole batch of, roses and a whole batch of daisies or whatever it is, and just play around with putting those together sort of in vases and such. The other thing, because I think this is key, is don't be afraid to cut them short. I think a lot of people, when they especially when you get a bouquet and you think, because this will happen a lot, people get a bouquet or some flowers from the store and they just kind of clip off the bottom and put them in. And then in the vase, your vase is so wide that the flowers are all kind of flailing everywhere. So don't be afraid to kind of clump them together in your hand, make them a little bit shorter in your vase. They'll kind of stay together a little bit more. So that's kind of a fun tip as well.
When you cut, are we supposed to cut our flowers on an angle?
You are.
Okay.
And with a knife if possible, because when you cut them with scissors, so a lot of people will cut them with scissors or clippers. It's basically when you cut with the scissors, it cuts it, but it also closes the pores basically, because scissors close on each other, right? If you think about it. But if you cut with a knife, so ideally kind of on an angle and cut away from yourself on an angle. And even just like a paring knife or something will work. I actually have floral knives, obviously, which you can buy on, you can go onto Amazon and Google floral knife. They're not expensive if you're really passionate.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, but doing on an angle because also the angle just makes the area of what's like the area of what's
The surface area?
that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. The surface
Yeah,
area that the water can get up into the flower is bigger if you do it on an angle, and
I see.
it opens the pores wider, basically.
What a brilliant tip, though.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that if you use scissors, if I'm hearing what you're saying, you're
Yeah,
kind of pinching the flower and crushing it, right? Whereas
exactly.
with a knife, you're making a clean cut that keeps the flower open or the stem open to receive the water that it needs to stay alive.
You summed that up perfectly.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
exactly it. That's exactly it. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to leaves. I heard
Hmm.
somewhere that you're supposed to remove any leaf that would be in the water. So strip it so that whatever gets submerged, there's no leaf in the water.
Exactly. You are correct because yes, so you can do that with your hands if it's, a non-thorny flower. So don't do it with a rose because you'll, if you run your hand down a rose stem, you might get full of thorns. But
Right.
any other flower, you just sort of put your fingers around the stem and just pull down, right, down the stem
Hmm.
and take all the leaves with you. And the reason for that is because the water will get murky faster. And then once you start getting moldy, gross brown water, which is what the
Sure.
leaves will do because they start to disintegrate, obviously, in the water. And
Right.
then your flowers aren't getting nice, fresh, clear water. They're starting to kind of take in mold and other things that are going to make them last less time, right? Or die
Now,
quicker, I guess. Yeah.
here's something I've been told, but I feel like in practice it's difficult.
Mhm.
You're supposed to change the water every day.
I think every day is a little extreme.
Okay.
So, yeah. So some people might say that. I would say every like 4 days, even.
Okay.
And
Okay.
really, you can also do it by sight. So especially if you have a clear vase, if it starts to
Hmm.
look murky, then absolutely change it. If it's a non-clear vase, then yeah, you might have to kind of peek inside and go, oh, how's that water doing? But every
Right.
third or fourth day, I think is more than enough. The other thing to note is that flowers do drink a lot of water. We don't actually think it. So if you put flowers in a vase, I have some actually out there just now that I'm thinking of, and the water is very low. So you also want to watch that, especially if you have stems that are at different lengths to make sure all the stems
Right.
are still reaching the water, right?
What about water temperature? Does that factor in?
This is going to blow a lot of people's minds. You should
Okay.
actually put your flowers in warm water first.
Oh.
Everyone would think, oh, cold, 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 they got to be cold. But warm water is easier for your flowers to drink. It's the same as the human body, actually, because don't they say we're
Oh.
supposed to drink room temperature water
Right.
versus cold, or it just our bodies react to it differently? But for flowers, so not hot. Although I have, well, I'll hold on to that. I have another tip for you in a second, but
Okay.
definitely warm water. So it should not be ice cold when you bring those flowers home because they are thirsty at this point if they have been out of water for a while.
Right.
So you want to give them something that's easy to drink quickly.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
great tip. I'll be
Mhm,
using that one for sure. What's this
mhm.
other tip of yours?
Well, then I was like, oh, there is a time to use hot water. So there are some flowers that are very finicky and can, I guess, die or wilt quickly, but they can also be brought back to life. So the number one flower, if anyone out there is a hydrangea fan and they
Right.
ever get cut hydrangeas, so often you'll get a beautiful bouquet. Oh my God, it's got three or four hydrangea. This is lovely. And then the next morning you'll get up and the hydrangea will be like it'll look dead. It'll be all wilty. All
Yeah.
that all it needs, I promise you, if you take it out, just wiggle it out of the bouquet, give it a fresh cut, put it in hot water, within about an hour or two, it'll look as fresh as new. It just drinks it up and it brings it back to life.
Is it safe to say that the hydrangea of all the flowers is maybe the kind of flower that likes a warm tea or a hot tea? Like some people are like that. It might be the most British of flowers, one
You know
could
what?
say.
Perhaps it is. Yes, it doesn't appreciate a cold lemonade. It would rather
Okay.
a warm tea break.
All right, Leslie, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Since we're on flowers, tell
Mhm.
me about your favorite flowers and
Oh,
what flowers are great for arranging, what flowers
mhm,
aren't your favorite.
mhm.
Let's just talk flowers.
Oh gosh, yes. Okay. This is tough because to name my favorite flower, oof, it's tough. I love oh my God. Well, stock is one of my most favorite flowers. And for anyone who's listening, maybe tomorrow, when they have some time, Google what a stock is flower. They're absolutely
I have
oh
no idea what a stalk is.
oh, when you see it, you might go, oh, that? So they kind of look like a snapdragon or like a larkspur, like one of those taller flowers where
Okay.
they're like a long sort of vertical kind of flower. but
Like
they're
almost like a gladiota? No,
but
no.
fluffier, like as if long and tall, like a not quite as tall as a gladiola, but they kind of look like again, I'm just going to name probably other flowers that maybe you don't know.
Like
Delphinium, no?
oh, delphinium, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's not like a grass, like a pampas grass, right?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
They're a
okay.
very fluffy, romantic, like beautiful flower. That's why I
I
love
see.
them. But
Okay,
yeah, but they have like lots of blooms. So like it's a long stem with like lots of blooms. So like from, there might be like 5 or 6 inches of bloom up the stem, if that makes sense.
okay.
And they're
Kind
oh, go ahead. You kind of like a,
I was
yeah.
gonna say kinda like a lupin, like lupin-esque or
Yes, like a
okay.
lupin. Okay, you
Alright.
do know lupins. Okay, good. Yes,
Okay.
like a lupin. So yeah, like snapdragon, lupin, delphinium, stock. Those are all the same kind of like tall flower with like lots of blooms, right?
Okay. Yep.
Yes. But stock also have the most amazing smell. They almost smell like fresh green apples, which I
Oh,
know
wow.
seems impossible. But if you get a fresh, like every time I go into a flower shop, if I'm working or whatever I'm doing, I'll just take a big bunch of stock and just sniff them. And they come in gorgeous flowers, purples, lavenders, pinks, cream, white. So they're really, really pretty. That's definitely one of my favorite things. Um,
It sounds like they also add height and a bit of drama to your arrangement?
Absolutely, especially
Okay.
because they can, like, the purple is such a dark, gorgeous, rich purple that can add the drama for
Right.
sure. But then again, what's nice is even if you're doing a low kind of like tight arrangement, like maybe something in like a round bubble vase or something like that, they can give a little bit of height, but still add to the thickness because they are such a fluffy, thick flower. So
I
even if you
see.
cut them a little bit shorter, they're still kind of poking out of the arrangement, but adding to the bulk of it, if that makes sense.
Wonderful. For sure.
Beautiful. I mean, and then of course I do love I do like roses. I have nothing against them, but they're not like top of the list, but they can be
Okay.
beautiful as well. I do like hydrangea. Um, what else are favorites?
Where
Buttonums.
do you stand on one of my favorite flowers, which is
Oh,
I never know how to pronounce it correctly, so forgive
uh-huh.
me,
No, no.
Leslie, I'm gonna say that off the top. Anth Anthuriums?
Oh, anthuriums. That was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the tropical, right? And
Yes.
and you like the sort of the red, or I guess they come in many different colors. Oh, they can come in pink and white, so I'm just picturing them all now.
Here's why I love them. So
Yeah,
when
tell
I
me.
was a kid, there was a television show called Fantasy Island.
Oh,
And whenever
yes,
whenever the
yes.
guests would get off the plane and be in this fantasy island world, there was always these flowers, these anthuriums, I think is how you say them,
Yes.
anthuriums. And I always thought they were so exotic. And at that time, I had never seen one in real life because they were tropical flowers. And at that time, I don't think we had the same sort of ability to have flowers shipped from all over the world.
Mhm.
Cut to years later, I saw them in real life and they look so waxy and they look so almost like they almost don't look like real flowers, but there was something so fascinating and nostalgic for me that I love those flowers.
You're so right. They look like plastic. Or you said
Yeah.
wax or
Yeah,
plastic
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, that's what's great because so now we're in a different genre of flower, which is the
Sorry.
tropicals. No, no,
Yep.
but that's great because that's all the tropicals. So
Okay.
how do I feel about the Anthurium? I
Mhm.
will say tropicals aren't my favorite.
I
I
see.
I do prefer, or like if I was making, but I they are gorgeous and I can appreciate especially the Anthurium because I have had arrangements with, especially when they come in shades of pink that you almost don't expect. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of mean for me to say that tropicals aren't my favorite because they are gorgeous.
Right.
But yeah, I think I prefer more like fluffy, gardeny, romantic, that kind of thing. But the Anthurium is birds of paradise is in that category. I don't know how you feel about
Yes.
those.
Love them.
Did you know you can save up to 70% on your favorite brands every single day? From Rebel.com sells strollers, car seats, espresso machines, skincare, cookware, everything you need for your home, your family, and your life, all for way less. Here's how it works. Every day, Rebel drops thousands of new products for up to 70% off. It's a nonstop feed of deals from brands like UPPAbaby, Nuna, Baby Bjorn, Nespresso, Breville, Wilson, Dyson, Caraway, and more. But every listing is one of a kind, so if you see something you love, you have to move fast. Why pay full price when you don't have to? From baby gear to tech to self-care staples, Rebel helps you save big on brands you know and love. Shop now at FromRebel.com.
If your team isn't using ClickUp, you're wasting time, and data proves it. 61% of knowledge workers manage work more than doing it, switching apps 1,000 times a day. That's work sprawl and costs millions. ClickUp replaces 20 apps with Convergence, uniting projects, docs, and chats, while AI super agents handle the busy work. Join 4 million teams using ClickUp to finish work 30% faster. Try it free and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
Studies show that 100% of everybody in the world wants to curl up indoors and do nothing because it's so darn cold out there. That's why many people are turning to Bombas, whose pillowy plush slippers and warm merino wool socks have been said to be the most comfortable in the history of feet. Bombas products have been found to boost coziness by up to 1,000,000%. Okay, enough fake statistics, but could Bombas socks and slippers really be the cure? Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
Yeah, dendrobian orchids, which come in like gorgeous purples, lime greens. Like you can make some pretty spectacular stuff with tropicals. I feel like I've been too hard on them now by saying they're not my favorite. But
how do you feel orchids fit in the flower bouquet or arrangement hierarchy, I guess?
Hierarchy. It depends on the kind, because a dendrobian orchid can be beautiful because again, they have length and height, right? Because they're again a long flower with like many blooms on the stem. So they can be very beautiful. And they do give your arrangement kind of, especially if it's like a hand-tied bouquet, almost an exotic feel, which I think it can be really, really pretty and very special. It feels very different. But I do truly love a Cymbidium orchid.
Oh, wow.
So the Cymbidiums are, I don't, how to describe, they're a one larger bloom. So often they're by themselves. It's one large bloom, almost the size of the palm of your hand, I would say. And they can come in, again, lime greens, rich purples, white with gorgeous pink centers, purpley pink. And often what you do with a Cymbidium orchid is they also come on a giant thick stem with like 25 of these flowers on it. But often florists, we cut off each bloom and sell each bloom separately. That's how gorgeous they are, just as one piece.
I see.
And then we wire them. So we stick we usually put them in like a tube of water, like a rose tube.
Sure.
And then we wire them onto a longer stick or something. And then we put them into arrangements and bouquets.
Oh, wow.
But again, they almost, like your Anthurium, they don't quite have a fake look, but they're a sturdy flower. Like the Anthurium is sturdy. Like, so they're sturdy or almost waxy or plasticky, but so stunning. So for me, a Cymbidium orchid in an arrangement or a bouquet is stunning, like next level.
Oh, wow.
And bride bouquets, wedding bouquets, definitely very popular because they're these gorgeous, again, romantic, rich, really pretty flowers.
Are there difficult flowers to have in an arrangement?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Tulips are very hard. This is why. Tulips open and very quickly, and they continue to grow when they're in water. So if you buy some tulips today and you cut them, in 3 or 4 days, they're going to be 2 inches longer. So what that just means is that it's hard to put them in an arrangement because they're going to change size and shape. It's not like they're going to stay where you put them, basically, if that makes sense.
Yes.
The other thing that's hard about tulips is that any flower that has that juicy stem, so like a tulip, a daffodil, hyacinth, which I do love hyacinth, but they have a juicy stem. They can be difficult to put in vases because the stems. So if you're doing a taped vase, which is where you take a vase and we put clear tape to make kind of like a grid over the top of the vase. And then we use that to hold the flowers as we kind of arrange them, right? If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
The other thing you can do, though, of course, is an oasis arrangement, which is floral foam, which is like green foam that you soak in water, and then you stick the flowers in it. So you can make arrangements that way, but that's very difficult with flowers that have juicy stems because you go to stick it in the foam and it doesn't want to go in. You have to really work it in, or your stems break a lot because the juicy stem won't go in the juicy foam. You know what I mean?
Is that when a frog comes to the rescue?
And wait, is it because he drinks all the juice out of the stem?
No, isn't that what that's called, Leslie? I'm not sure. It's like this spiky thing that you put. It's like this.
Oh,
round. Isn't that called a frog? Maybe I got it wrong. Now I feel like I got it wrong.
no, you're gonna love this. I don't know what that's called, but I think isn't that, are we talking about the thing which is very popular in Japanese floral arrangements, which would use a lot of your tropicals like Anthuriums, because often a Japanese style arrangement is like minimalistic, or it's got more of those like long, orchids and things. So normally the base, like it's all these flowers coming out of that little frog, that little like comb thing. Is that what you mean? The little
Yeah,
comb?
it looks like a spiky
Yeah,
puck, and
yeah,
those spikes spike up, and then
yeah,
you put flowers in the spikes so that they stay.
yeah.
And I always thought it was called a frog, but I could be wrong. But that's how I know it, and that's why I was thinking maybe a juicy stem sits better on a frog
Well,
than in that foam.
it would, a juicy stem would sit better on a frog. You're right.
Okay,
But I will say this, I've never combined foam and the frog.
okay.
So maybe I have to.
Oh, I thought the frogs is its own thing, and the foam is its own thing, and never the two shall meet.
Yeah, I've never had the two meat, but
Okay.
also after this, I do have to Google what that thing is called. And if you're probably right, it is called a frog, and I just never knew that.
I bet in the industry, it's not called that. It's called like a pin cushion or something like that. I'm sure
May-
you guys have a different term for it. And I
Yeah.
think just, for we who buy things online, they want to give it a fun name. I'm
Oh,
sure that's why
yes.
it's called a frog. Um, Let me ask you this, Leslie.
Yeah.
You are originally from Halifax in Nova Scotia.
Hmm.
Now you live in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Is there a difference in the flowers that you arranged in both places? Have you noticed a difference? Like, are the flowers different that you're arranging?
Hmm.
Are they fresh, certain flowers fresher? Tell me your impression of having arranged in both places.
Yes, absolutely. And I also did do a pit stop and arranged in Toronto as well. So I have
Okay.
three. So definitely the flowers in Nova Scotia are more expensive. They just not a lot there. We do have some local product,
Okay.
but the season for local Nova Scotia product is shorter. It really is restricted kind of to summer. So from like May to August, you're probably getting maybe more of the local stuff, and then otherwise you're shipping stuff in. So probably less tropical, less, roses might be a little more expensive because they're coming from Ecuador or Colombia or all of those things.
Sure.
Um, Toronto was somewhere in between where seasonally, again, there would be some local, but always there's always the option to get stuff that is coming from Hawaii or again South America or maybe somewhere in the States. But Toronto again would have some local stuff. Definitely like certain kinds of hydrangea for sure would be cheaper in Toronto at a certain time at certain times of year, as well as peonies, which
Okay.
had a very short season. That peonies are often a flower you don't ship in, just because they're so delicate and they don't last very long, but they're
Right.
gorgeous.
Hmm.
Oh, I forgot those in my favorite list.
We
Um,
talk about peonies a lot on this podcast,
do
Leslie.
you?
Yeah, because they're the flower that requires ants to help open them up.
Of course they are. Yes.
So for some reason, and they're the type of flower. So long story short, because I've said it before on the podcast, but
I love it.
I transplanted my mom's peonies from her house to mine when
Yeah.
she moved, and they're also a finicky flower. So they might be
Yeah.
like, you move me to a different area, I'm not going to bloom for 2 years type thing, right?
Oh, so
But my
stubborn.
but my mother's bloomed the next year, and I was really happy. And then I had a window put in my front, and of course, the people putting in the window trampled all over my peonies.
Oh
But they
no.
bloomed again the next year, and I was like, "This is great, these peonies." And then this year, they decided to replace the fire hydrant that happens to be right in front of my house on my property.
Oh no.
And by doing that, they ripped it completely out and really disturbed all my flowers in the front,
Oh.
Leslie. And so I'm just crossing my fingers, and stay tuned, friends, to hear if my peonies bloom this year, and I'll take pictures and send them out. But
Oh, you have to.
yeah, they're a personal. I guess you could say the peonies is the flower of the Insomnia Project. So thank you for bringing that one up,
Oh my God,
Leslie.
I'm glad they came up. Yes, yes. Um, well, interestingly enough, I will say there's peonies are more readily available in California for sure. And I would
Okay.
say in general, what I've noticed is we have, I would say, lot more variety for more of the year, I think is what I've noticed in California. So whether it's locals or tropicals, or there's just more product, less expensive, and just kind of more of it is what I have noticed here.
Have you been to the flower market in downtown LA?
I can't believe I haven't been yet, but
Okay.
my friend and we were, I think, because a good friend of mine goes every Sunday pretty much, or at least every second Sunday, and she is just like, you have to go, Leslie, you have to go. So I will, and when I do, I will take some pictures, I will share it on social media, and I will probably lose my mind.
I went for a
Oh my
friend's
God,
wedding
you
when I was
went.
it's impossible to describe. So we were in LA for a friend's wedding, and
Mhm.
my wife went to the flower area in downtown LA, and I went to the jewelry or the gems and jewelry making area of Los Angeles, which are both downtown and not far from each other.
Right.
And my mind was completely blown because of everything I saw in the jewelry district of Los Angeles is incredible. And then
Wow.
going from these vibrant gems everywhere and beautiful jewelry being made, and then going to the flower district, it was just it was just incredible to see the amount, the scope, and the different kinds of flowers that were
Hmm.
available there. It's
Hmm.
incredible. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the variety is, again, quite remarkable.
Sure.
Um, and again, in every season, because I've worked, I guess Valentine's would be more winter, Mother's Day is
Mhm.
obviously spring into summer. Yeah. Oh, wow. I have to go. I have to go to this flower market.
Most definitely, you have to go. Let me ask you this, Leslie.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm not a florist, I'm not an arranger, but I'm certainly someone who buys flowers.
Yes.
What's a good tip for those of us who call florists to buy flowers? What should we be saying to florists that make the arrangement prettier or make your job easier?
Oh, what a great question. Because listen, it's very tempting to go online and pick like a picture from online, but that is
Mhm.
the most restrictive thing you can do and probably will end up giving you something that you you didn't really imagine because as the florist, I'm going to try and make it like the picture, but I'm going to have to substitute things or maybe it won't be quite. And of course, I'll try to make it beautiful, but
Right.
here's what you should do. Call
Okay.
your florist and you can give them some guidelines. So know how much you want to spend. So I want something for $70. I want it in, and then give them a color palette. So either bright and colorful, pale and pastel, or pink, orange. This person's favorite colors are purple and white. Give us a palette to work within, right?
Okay.
And then if you desperately have one or two favorite flowers, you can say, can it include some roses? Can it include some tulips? But the less restrictive you are, and to be honest, the more you leave it to the designer's choice, you're 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it something much more beautiful. So give your florist some guidelines, but don't be super specific because then
Oh,
you're backing us into a corner where we'll try to make what you're sort of picturing, but it's never going to be exactly like you're picturing, or maybe we don't have the exact flower that you want. So yeah, if that makes
oh,
sense. Give us the guidelines and let us do our thing.
okay. So, Leslie, I'm going to give you some guidelines.
Okay.
Assume you have whatever flower you could possibly want in front of you.
Hmm.
And assume my budget is between $70 and $100.
Hmm.
I'm a big spender today. All right.
Okay. Okay.
If I said something like tall and spiky,
Hmm.
what would you put in that arrangement?
Okay, so I'm definitely going to put in some We're going to go get some dendrobian orchids because they're going to be gorgeous,
Hmm.
tall and spiky. I think. Oh, but wait, now I want to put curly willow, and I'm not sure if that's going to go with the orchids. We'll see. We'll see. So I want some curly willow because it's very seasonal this time of year, and that's kind of like a pretty branch that's going to go up and around. Then I'm going to go snapdragons. I am going to put some stalk in there because they're tall, but they're still going to give it a little bit of kind of thickness. Then I am going to put in some roses, as those are going to kind of, because something that's all tall and spiky, we need to fill it in a little bit, right? So
Hmm.
it's going to be outlined with the snapdragons, the curly willow, the stalk. Then we're going to get some roses in there, and then probably some ranunculus because they're just so
Oh,
gorgeous this time of year. I can't even handle it.
okay.
And I think the look that I'm creating in my mind with the curly willow and the roses, it's a little bit fresh and woodsy, but it's a little bit romantic as well. So I'm going to get some of those ranunculus in there, and yeah, and that's going to be beautiful. Then
Okay.
I'll look at it. I'll fill it out with whatever sort of we need, but
Sure.
yeah, that's how I'm going to start. Yeah.
Do you have a go-to filler, Leslie?
I wax flower probably. Um,
Okay.
I don't love baby's breath, and that's not just because it's popular not to like it, because it is
Right.
popular to also like it. Some people really love it.
Sure.
But I think it's also very difficult to work with baby's breath because it's so
Oh.
fluffy and it breaks so easily and it's so chunky that to put it into an arrangement, it kind of it just kind of clumps. You can't really spread it around and make it kind of nice and even.
Hmm.
Yeah, so for me, it's not my favorite, but I'll put it in if you are really in love with it. But wax flower comes in a lot of beautiful colors, whites, pinks, purples, and um, it's soft and it can be spiky, so it might go into your spiky arrangement because it can be long and tall, but it can also be a little more clumpy. So if I was doing an arrangement that needed some filler like that, I would definitely do that. Oh, and one more,
Yes.
hypericum. Hypericum.
Oh,
If you don't know what hypericum is, Google it.
okay.
But they almost look like berries on a stick, truthfully.
Oh,
But they come in like lime green and like soft pink and white and all these like gorgeous colors that you wouldn't expect. And they can really add like dimension and just something really different to an arrangement that just you're like, oh, this is so beautiful. So they can really add something.
is there an unsung hero in the flower arranging world?
What is the I think it's greenery in general.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this because a lot of people are like, not too much greenery. I once had a
Right.
man say, I'm not buying a salad here. And
Right.
I
Okay.
just wanted to turn to him and say, if I put no greenery in this, you'll take it home and imagine a vase of flowers with just, I mean, you can do it, but if you want a
Sure.
vase that's full of only flowers and no greens, it's going to be a lot of flowers. You're talking about $100, $200 worth of flowers to fill a vase where it looks full.
Right.
However, you can spend $30 on some gorgeous blooms, and then I'll come in there and I'll put in some gorgeous salal, maybe some seeded eucalyptus, maybe even a little bit of bear grass or something. And it's going to fill that out and it's going to give a collar and it's going to hold your flowers in place and you're going to have a beautiful bouquet. But if you're all, oh, no greenery, no greenery.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the unsung hero
I
for
mean,
sure.
you could take a big monstera leaf
Hmm.
stem, cut
Yes.
it, and put it in a vase, and it just
Yes.
brings drama. And then you just need one other flower in there, and you've got a most beautiful arrangement.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Hmm.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness, Linda,
Linda.
Leslie, I don't even know where I am right now
I
because
know
I'm
because
caught
we're
up in.
thinking of those leaves.
Um, we're coming to the end of this episode, but I feel like there's so much more flower to talk about.
There
Is
is.
there anything that we didn't mention that has come up in your mind that you're like, oh, I want to say this or I want to mention this about flowers?
Yes, I forgot
Okay,
something very important. So,
sure.
one great way to make an arrangement for yourself at home very quickly, if you just have a vase,
Oh,
is
take your time. It's not a problem, Leslie. You tell us. You tell us
okay.
everything we need to know.
All right, I will. So you've got your flowers and you want to make an arrangement. So basically, what you do is you arrange them in your hand first, right?
Oh,
So you start putting them in your hand and you put them in like kind of at an angle, right? So this one goes in this way, this one goes in this way. And you're sort of imagine if you're holding your hand like a little, circle, and then you're putting the flowers in, right? So then you can look at it and you can see how it's going to look. And all the flower stems should be crisscrossed, right? So that there's one point where all the stems are kind of close together in that circle of your hand, if that makes sense.
okay.
And then
Yeah. So
underneath, right? Is this making
they're
sense?
yeah, they're bunched in one
Tightly.
tightly in one area. Okay.
Exactly. But at the
Okay.
bottom, the stems are kind of going out in different directions because they're
Yep.
crisscrossing, right?
Hmm.
Then what you do is where your hand is, you can tie a piece of ribbon or some twine or an elastic or something to hold so it's almost like you're making a neck. So all the flowers are held together at that neck.
Okay.
And then the stems can go whatever way underneath. It doesn't matter because you're going to put those in the vase. But then you have that, and then you can put it in any size vase. You don't have to worry about how wide your vase is, because often we have vases that are so wide, but again, not enough flowers to fill them. But if you make
Sure.
that arrangement in your hand first, and then you just tie the flowers together, they're not going to go anywhere. Then you can cut your stems on an angle, drop that into a vase, and your arrangement is done for you. So no matter
Wow.
what you've brought, if somebody brings you, a dozen roses in a box, that looks beautiful in the box, but how do I now transfer them into a vase? Well, try this. Try kind of arranging them in your hand and then tying them so that they kind of look like a bouquet and then put them in your vase.
It's also brilliant if you have a garden
Oh,
and
yes.
you want to put an arrangement together and you're like, okay, what do I cut? How do I do this? You can put them in your hand and form that bouquet whilst you're in your garden, tie it off, bring it inside and put it in your vase and away you go.
Exactly. And then boom, you're done.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
That's it. That's what I should have opened with. That was the number one tip that thank goodness I remembered it.
well, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this, Leslie. How do you deal with thorns on a rose?
Oh, so I take them off with a knife.
So
So
just peel them back like you're peeling an apple or something, like just strip them off? Is that what you
yes,
do? Okay.
exactly. So just at the base of the thorn, just take the knife and again, always do this away from you so you don't cut
Okay.
yourself. And you just like like floop, floop, floop. You're just sort of like picking them off like a little peel, like just doop, doop,
Oh
doop.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I do.
Leslie, thank you so much. I've learned so much in this episode, and I hope you have too listening. If you want to see some of Leslie's designs, you can follow her on Instagram at Leslie Seiler, and I'll have that in the show notes. Leslie, thank you so much for being a guest on the Insomnia Project.
Oh, thank you for having me back, Marco. It's always so much fun to talk to you and just like get really deep into a topic. I love it.
So great. Well, we'll have to have you back and talk either more flowers or another topic. Leslie, you're a wonderful guest. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Marco. So nice to be here.
And I hope our listeners were able to gain some knowledge. And if you were excited as I was during this episode and weren't able to fall asleep, well, I hope you have some relaxing tips on what to do with your flower arrangement. And the rest of you, I hope you were able to listen and sleep.